But I mean, sometimes as an umpire, sometimes you might miss one small detail. Even when I was playing, many times I used to fill in when an umpire may not have shown up after he finished playing, or even before he finished playing. I I look at umpiring and I thought that my personality, you know, being a patient guy, I think that suits umpiring.
Welcome back to Sears World TV. If this is your first time, please give us a like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Today we have a very special guest. Yes, Mr. Deighton Butler, latest addition to the ICC panel of umpires.
You're listening to the Fresh Queen song. You're listening to Vinci Internet Radio. It's now 15 minutes after 4 o'clock. Joining us is newly appointed international umpire on the international list, Vincent Shangwal, Mr. Deighton Butler. Mr. Deighton Butler, good afternoon and welcome back to Vinci Internet Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, CP. Good afternoon, my good friend. Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Deighton.
Good afternoon to our listeners and viewers.
Now it's all over to your good friend, Mr. Sears.
All right. Thanks, Sip. For listeners, I want to say pleasant good afternoon, good afternoon, good night, good morning, wherever in the world you may be. Right about now, we have no stranger to Vinci Internet Radio and no stranger on CS World TV, our YouTube channel. Newly appointed on the ICC panel of umpires. I'm going to let him explain to our viewers and listeners what that means and what's the new position. Mr. Deighton Butler, former West Indies pizza. Welcome to Vinci Internet Radio again, man. Like, I always say size up yourself. So I think you still have to size up yourself for greatness still.
Yeah, thanks, says.
Mm-hmm.
And again, good afternoon to all our listeners. Yeah, well, what that appointment means is that I've gone another step up. So it's the ICC International Panel. There is still one more step ahead of that, which is the ICC Elite Panel.
Elite, yeah.
Yes. So the ICC International Panel, it means that you now will obviously be doing international matches. Most likely you start with T20 internationals, ODIs, hopefully, and you can do standby for test match. But
Right.
you can do ICC tournaments like Women's in World Cup, Under 19 World Cup. So there's more opportunities. From that level.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know we've had from the Windward Island, I think it's Billy Doctor, and I think you're the first from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be at such a high level. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, from my recollection, I think at one stage, Golden Graves, he would have been on the international panel.
Okay.
But I don't. I mean, subject to correction, I don't think he did any on field like international.
Okay.
I think he would have done probably TV and standby. But I'll be making my on field debut in the series, the T20 series, West Indies versus England, next week. Well, this week actually. Today's Sunday.
All right. Well, super congratulations, man. We're proud of you, and for a man like me, who know you personally, played against you. I never had the privilege of playing with you, but I'm super proud of the stands that you have taken so far. The ladder that you're climbing. What I want to say though is, for a man of your stature, former West Indies left arm fast bowler. tell us how you really decided to get into umpiring as per se, because you spent already days in the field in the hot sun, so you know what it takes. And now you're not only staying in the sun for one innings, but both innings, and probably in the future 4 innings. You're going to be in the sun, 4, 5 straight days. Tell us what makes you want to get into such a brutal job, a brutal task.
Well, even when I was playing, I used to do a lot of coaching, because I work with the government. I work at sports division. So quite naturally, you're involved in the school system where cricket is concerned. So many times I used to fill in when an umpire may not have shown up for a game, and I will have to hold the fort and make sure that the game go on, that the game can play.
Right.
We don't want to cancel a game because an umpire didn't turn up, But after he finished playing, well, even before he finished playing, I look at umpiring, and I thought that my personality, being a patient guy, very humble and thing, I think that suits umpiring, because you spend a lot of time standing around. Sometimes the game seems not seem as though it's not going anywhere.
True.
But that doesn't mean you can walk off the field and say this game is too boring, right? You still have to stay focused, because the minute you switch off, that decision could come and you miss it. Right? So I thought that my personality fits something like that. And being a fast bowler, that is one of the things that you work out as a fast bowler, how you can get someone LBW. You learn the rules, the LBW rules, because that is one of your main way of taking wickets. That LBW route, right? So even from your playing days, it's like you have a lot of knowledge where that is concerned. So in terms of going into umpiring, it was like a continuation, from that, and also when I was playing, I mean, I'm not blaming the umpires, but I think back then umpiring was not like a career, let's say, right? And when you play your cricket, it's like the older guys who retire, and they probably want to stay occupied. They go into umpiring, but now umpiring is more of a career, so more is expected of you in terms of keeping yourself up to date in terms of your fitness, your knowledge. So I wanted to make a contribution and make sure that I help to improve the level of umpiring that I saw growing up and playing my cricket at a first class level.
Right. I didn't want to dive into it yet, but I'm going to dive into it momentarily. But you said something there about being a fast bowler, and when I looked at you, it's not because I personally know you and stuff like that. I would say that I think you give very fair decisions and stuff like that. I've been watching you and analyzing you myself in terms of your decision in comparison to, let's say, what the DRS would say, and I'll get into the DRS later on. But I just want to bring up this scenario where I don't know if it was the final, but it was Guyana versus somebody, and one umpire, I don't want to mention his name, but if folks were looking at the game, they would know what I'm talking about. Big swinger of the ball, of course, and the ball swung, and the umpire gave a decision in favor of the bowler. And I find that the decision was overturned because the ball swung so much. The next ball, the umpire again gave the decision in favor of the bowler. And I'm thinking, as an umpire, if the first one swung so much that you misjudged it, shouldn't you pretty much give the batsman the benefit of the doubt and let the fielding team go to the DRS if that's so possible?
No, well, I'm sure. I think I recall the incident you're talking about. It was
It was a left armer, right?
no right past the last finals, right? You meant, right?
Yes, it was the finals. So you're right.
It would have been the South African guy who plays for Guyana.
Yes.
Yeah, Pretorius or something like that.
Pretorius.
Yeah, yeah. But as an umpire, where the DRS is concerned, you don't really think that deep into your decision making in terms of who would have gone to DRS and was correct and who should be going. I mean, you still want to maintain, because as an umpire you have a routine that
Right.
you would have practiced for many years, so
Mhm.
you tend to stick to your routine. So I'm sure he would have made the that second decision based on his judgment,
Right.
based on what he see and he thought, well, you know, that this is the case and so on. But I mean, sometimes as an umpire, sometimes you might miss one small detail
Mhm.
that can throw you off, right?
Right.
So what you do after like a game like that, after that you would have gone back and make your assessment.
Mhm.
And the questions that you have to ask yourself is, what was it? What was happening leading up to that decision?
Mhm.
What happened during that decision? And if you really go deep into those two areas, you're going to probably find one simple thing that you probably didn't do, that you probably usually do, that
Right.
caused you to miss a very important detail, that caused you to go down the wrong road. But I don't think he would have been thinking, oh, I got this one overturned, so I'm gonna take the safe away and go not out, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're still confident that based on the evidence that you have to work with, that you think that is out, right? You still have to be, brave enough and confident enough to make your decision, whether it turns out to be right or wrong. The important thing is that you stick with your routine, but then you have to go back now and search and see what was the reason why you got that one wrong.
Mhm.
Because there's always something may have happened leading up to it that you probably get distracted, or your mind was playing on the previous decision
Mhm.
that you got overturned, and this one comes in and you are not ready for it in terms of your mental space.
Right.
So you did not assess it as well as you should.
Right. I'm glad you clarified that because a lot of us felt that he was more leaning towards Guyana in those decision making. Um, the follow up to that though is, and I think I asked you that the last time, but you haven't done the DRS at that time. So I'm going to ask you now, since you have been working with the DRS, how do you as an umpire feel when your decision is overturned? And I'm not talking about when it's umpire's call or stuff like that. I'm talking about it being overwhelmingly overturned.
Well, I think, as an umpire, at the end of the day, you want to make the right decision. And I am happy that the DRS is there. For the reason being that you don't want a game to finish and everybody start pointing the finger at you to say you cost team A the game based on some errors that you made, right? So the DRS is there to correct that to an extent. But in terms of the accuracy of the DRS and so on, I mean, sometimes you see the DRS overturn some and you ask yourself, wow,
True.
how, yeah, right? But you have to try and maintain a level of composure that anybody looking at you on the television, they should not be able to see that disappointment in you. To
True.
say that, like you drop your head and you shrug your shoulders and you're shaking your head, even if you think that, wow, how did that get overturned? You still have to maintain that composure, that professionalism, because the game does not stop there.
Right.
So if that overturn gets to you, that could be, while the game doesn't end there, that can be the end of your game
Right.
in terms of you having control over your umpiring. Right? So you have to be able to accept that and put it behind you quickly and be ready for the next ball. Because the next ball after you get overturned could be a big decision again.
True.
And if you're still found dwelling on that decision that just got overturned, prepare for another overturn. Because
Right.
you're not going to be in the right frame of mind to make that decision. Can you now start panicking that what should I do here? Should I go? Should I give it out or take the safe way and say not out? Right? You still have to, maintain your composure and get on with the game. And at the end of the day, those are some of the things that you will be judged on. How how well did you recover? And that is a big part of umpiring. Your ability to recover quickly and be ready for the next decision. If you're not able to recover quickly, then once you make an error, the rest is gonna be history.
Right. I'm a wiki keeper, so I can resonate to what you're saying there. You have to concentrate on every single ball.
Yeah.
How then are you being taught on the mental side of it though? Like as an umpire, do you guys get mental strengthening in terms of mental coaching, in terms of umpire as well, as far as where umpiring is concerned?
Well, presently, the West Indies board have employed a umpires coach in Peter Nero, he's a former international umpire himself from Trinidad.
Mhm. I
But
remember.
but strange enough that you asked that question. Very recently, we've been discussing the importance of having a mental coach as an umpire. Because it is a big part of your game, the mental side of it. Because all that we just spoke about in terms of recovering quickly from errors and recovering from a bad game to be ready for the next one, all of that is going to come down to your mental strength, and you need to have that kind of support system.
True.
So that is something that we have been discussing, and we are hoping that West Indies will probably provide some of that for the umpires, because it is a tough job, and you need that support system to prepare you and keep you on track and so on.
All right.
But presently we don't have any, unless you seek your own personal mental coach,
Mental coach.
which some of the guys have been doing actually.
Yeah, very important, and I think even the team depends on those mental coaches. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Sip.
You're listening to the Fresh Prince song. You're listening to Vinci Internet Radio. Joining us is Mr. Deighton Butler. He's newly appointed to the international umpires by the ICC. Dayton, I've been listening and I've been kind of putting what you guys saying into my refereeing. And being a referee, I think I can resonate more, a little bit more than Moulton, because I'm always out there. And the one thing I do usually, because I also go out and do work with young referees. And one thing I tell them, do not be a defensive referee. Seeing like you've just been talking about defensive umpiring. You have to be mentally strong. You have to be mentally prepared. And you have to have professionalism within your game. One bad decision can really throw you off, but you have to compose yourself. I'll give you a little idea with me as a referee. Sometimes I have bad games, but I do not let that bad game spoil the control of the game. Always try to be in control of your game. And don't be afraid to go back and review the things that you did that might get overturned. It doesn't mean that you're not a good umpire, a good referee. It only means that there are certain details, as you said before, that we need to look at. So after your game, whether you have a good game or a bad game, always go back and review that game in your head. Replay it and see exactly what you could have done to take that next step or that next level. But saying that, I know most of the things that we as players always want to give back, and that's one of the reason why I got into refereeing as well. And the thing is that I was going to ask, what inspired you, what deep down in your heart that inspired you to be an umpire?
Yeah, well, before I answer that, I want to say that just like refereeing, decision making is only one small part of being an official. Because even if you are brilliant, you're making brilliant decisions, but you don't have control of the game, right? It's going to show up. So as an official, you have to develop your all-round game, right? So you have to be able to manage the game properly. You have to have a good rapport with the players, because gone are the days when the players should be seeing it as we against the umpire. We should be seeing it as the officials, the players, and management, everybody working together to run the game as smooth as possible, right? It makes everyone's job a lot easier, right? But just to say back to Moulton, one thing I would say, what he asked about the finals, that is it's interesting that the same umpire, he and I did the finals last year as well, and he had a brilliant finals too. Made some really top decisions. So it just show you how you always have to be on top of your game, because just a different another game and you see what happened, right? So he's a very good umpire, and I'm sure that he will rebound from that. But in terms of what inspired me, I also, one of the things that I wanted to do as well is to set that example for other players. One of the things that I noticed, during my playing days, is that there was hardly any past players who came back and involved in umpiring. A lot of the players, past players, came back, and then into coaching, some into commentating and stuff like that. But there were hardly ever any of the past players involved in umpiring. So I also wanted to be an example where that is concerned, to show the players, the current players, that there is a pathway, that you can have a career in umpiring, you can stay in the game, in umpiring as well, not just only in coaching or commentating. Because presently, even presently, there's only still two past players who were involved in umpiring in terms of the original panel, in terms of the first class panel, and it's Carl Tuckett, from Nevis, and he used to play for Leeward Islands. He played with Ambi and those guys back in the days. A very good friend of mine as well. But still, it's only the two of us alone as past players. But since we have been umpiring and doing well and so on, you're hearing a lot of current players who are saying that, I think I want to get into umpiring. Even some of them are asking now, while they're playing, how can they get to start doing the exams and to qualify themselves so that they could go straight into it and so on. So I think, for me that is a plus, because that is something that I wanted to make where I wanted to make a difference. To see that, because if you look at England, Australia, a lot of these other countries, they have a lot of past players in coming into their umpiring, and it's also giving them an edge, an advantage in terms of getting fast track, getting up to the ICC, the international panel and the elite panel. If you look at people like Paul Rifle and those guys, how quickly, Richard Ellingworth, how quickly they got up to the elite panel. And it was because of the playing background, because that's the direction ICC showed that they were going at the time. So, there's an opportunity there for our players them to, get themselves in that.
You spoke about players nowadays want to get into umpiring. So take us a little bit through the process from beginners right up basically to the international level, because I think it's the West Indies Cricket Board who recommend you to the ICC. So take us through that process so people who are listening, who is interested in umpiring, can have an idea how to go about it.
Well, I think in the past you used to have to do a local exam, and then if you pass that, you get the opportunity to do the West Indies level exam. But I think now that they have, once you're a former player, that you don't have to do that local exam. You could go straight to the next level in terms of writing the West Indies, the WICIO exam, which is the West Indies Cricket Umpires Association exam. And used to take you probably about 3 years more to complete the qualification. But Peter Nero, since he have gotten involved, because he himself said that process is too long. Before a guy get to 3 years plus, he don't give up because he figure this thing is taking too long. So they're looking to see how they can shorten that period. So what you do the West Indies exam, the theory, and I think the pass marks is 70% and up. But it's you have the law book, so is you actually questions is really cricket questions, right? And then once you pass that, now you will get a date for, you have to do some practical. So I think you have to do, I think might be like, if it's 50 overs, you might have to do about 4 matches, right? And with someone who will be assessing you. Or if it's 2-day cricket, you do 2-day matches, and then once your practical marks is up to where it's supposed to be, then you do an oral. So the practical and oral goes together. So the oral is really about, I'm not sure if about 15 questions, 10, 15 questions that, three persons will be there. They will ask you the questions and you have to, it's probably mostly like scenarios. The questions will be more like scenarios, math scenarios or something like that. And you have to, explain your answer. And then once you pass the practical slash oral, both of them marks go together. Then you are fully qualified. Then you can start doing, you know, well, you would have been doing local cricket by then. But the West Indies, they have two panels. They have the junior panel and the senior panel. So the junior panel usually have, I think, 24 persons, which is like four umpires from each of the territories. So you have 6 territories. Windwards, Leewards, and then the other 4 islands: Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. So, your local association might recommend your name to go forward for the junior panel. And then the junior panel now will be doing the junior tournaments. Under West Indies under 15, under 17, under 19, female under 19, female tournament. You will do standby when you have first class matches and the Super 50 and stuff like that. Based on performance, I think they review the panels. I think every year, every 2 years, and based on performance, people can move up or move down. But as I say, if you're a past player, it's a little bit shorter for you, because they figure that you understand certain level of the umpiring than that of the cricket, sorry, than somebody who just coming into umpiring from scratch and have to learn everything.
The on-field assessment, how many is 2 years or 1 year they give it to reach that level?
No, well, like you see, like the cricket season going on, so you can complete a practical in that season. So by the end of this season there, when you done do all your practical, you can move on to do the oral. So the questions normally will come from the West Indies Cricket Umpires Association. So they will send the same questions to all the territories, and the practical will go on the same day, at the same time at various venues around the region. And then they will collect those answers, will go back to Wikio, and then they will do all the marking of the papers and publish the results. Send it out to all the territories.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for umpires today?
Well, I mean, for us in the Caribbean, I think I don't think there's enough cricket being played, and I think it's the same challenge, for players as well, because umpiring is something. The more you umpire, right, you're getting the experience. You're going to experience different situations, you encounter different challenges, but it's actually being out there on the field, practically involved, that you're going to learn to deal with those challenges and so on. So just like the players, you want to be doing more cricket, right? So you find sometimes, some of the umpires, probably pay their own passage to go certain places to get opportunities to practice more in terms of being on field. But I think that is one of the major challenge that we do face. More opportunities.
So, like, for example, you can leave St. Vincent and say go to Barbados and maybe try to do some games within their local season. Would that be something that you would encourage umpires or people who want to get to that level to do?
Yes, definitely. Once you can afford and you have the time. But incidentally, that is something that Wikio have been discussing as well, the Umpires Association, doing umpires exchange. So to try and see how they can help with the financially to help an umpire offset some of the costs to say go to a Vincent umpire go to Barbados, get to do some matches there. Somebody from Barbados might want, because sometimes some of the seasons are at different time. So your off season might be the on season in another island. So you get that opportunity. Because we have to admit that some of the islands still have a bit more cricket than some. Because like Trinidad, Barbados, they play a lot more cricket than say we do in St. Vincent. Because they have a lot more clubs and teams and a lot more different tournaments. So if you get to go there, you're probably going to get to do a lot more games and the experience in different. Although we are all in the Caribbean, we're still going to have different pitches. Like if you compare the pitch in St. Lucia, for example, at the Darren Sammy Stadium, if you compare that with say at Queens Park Oval, it's we're still in the Caribbean, but it's two completely different surface. You're gonna get in St. Lucia, you're gonna get a nice grassy pitch where the ball is bouncing at pace, and you get in the movement because you have a well grass pitch. When you go in Queens Park, you're gonna have all the grass taken off, and the fast bowlers are going to want to know what are they really doing there, while the spinners are going to be smiling. So if you go to Trinidad and umpire, it's a different challenge than if you go to St. Lucia because of the pitch, the nature of the pitches. So if you can get to go to different islands, it's also going to improve your knowledge base and your experience and everything.
That basically gonna be my next question, and you answered for me. What is the biggest challenge umpires face today? And you basically answered for me there. So let's add another part to it when it comes to technology. So what is the biggest challenge umpire face in terms of technology?
Well, I think it will be one of the things is that technology is still very expensive in terms of having it at more different at various levels. So, for example, if you in the Caribbean, in the West Indies, if you're not involved in the CPL, right, you will not have a chance of working in the DRS with the DRS system, right? So you're going to still be behind in terms of where technology is concerned. So like we have Super 50 going on presently. We have games being televised, and we have a TV umpire, but it's only the basic TV we have. So your third umpire could get the run out, stumping, fair catch, you know, obstruction, this kind of thing. But there's no DRS. So for me, the biggest challenge is, having DRS available so that all, if possible, all the umpires, even from a regional standpoint, can get that experience to work with the DRS. So, and I know it boils down to finance, So hopefully the market might get a little bit more, a little flooded with different companies offering the DRS, which will bring down the price, and you can get it in your domestic cricket. So more people can get the experience to work with it and develop themselves really.
All right, you're listening to Vinci Internet Radio, and today we're having a live conversation with former West Indies fast bowler and newly appointed on the ICC panel of umpires, Mr. Deighton Butler. My name is Moulton Sears alongside CP Borg. Deighton, what is more pleasing to you, or which one has the more pressure on it? Working with as a TV umpire or the on-field?
Well, I think it will be the on-field, because with the TV umpire, all you're doing is working with all the information that is available to you, right? But when you're on field, you have one opportunity to see that incident, and then you have to sum that up and come up with your decision, right? So while you're in the television room, there are times you could be very relaxed and even have a conversation with whether the match referee, and you're talking cricket. But you don't have that luxury when you're on the field. While you will switch off when the ball is dead, you have to switch back on for the next delivery, right? So you are always, I don't want to say under pressure, because it's not so much about being under pressure. It's about, you're always engaged,
right,
when you're on the field. But when you're in the television room, you could be relaxed, and then you are being given you're asking for all the information, all the technology you want. You want ultra edge, whatever. Right? You don't have to guess and wonder whenever the ball hit the bat, If you find the ball pass close to the bat, you could just request the ultra edge. So once you understand what you have to do in the television room, it's not really a lot of pressure. It's just about executing what is given to you that you ask for.
right. So I could be the devil's advocate and say that there's a 2% also where if you're on field, you can always go to the technology. And there are a few times that I've seen where the technology is not as clear, or we, the viewers, at least, we felt that the decision didn't go the right way based on the technology. And so I assume that there's also a little pressure, or there could be a little pressure in that, so-called 2%, where, like, for example, the test last night with Richard Pant, I think there was some controversy in that as well with the technology.
Yeah, well, what TV umpiring is concerned, there's a protocol that you have to follow. So I'm sure that decision would have based on following the right protocols based on what is given in the playing condition, the DRS playing condition. So I mean, someone who probably not aware
Right.
of it might see it differently.
Right.
you know. But I'm sure the umpire would have followed the protocol that he have there, you know. So the key thing about DRS is that the ultra edge is that, for example, even if the bat is hitting the pad,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, when the ball is right alongside the bat, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't see you're not seeing a gap between bat and ball. You're actually seeing like the ball is resting on the edge of the bat.
Right.
If you can see a gap between the bat and ball, then you know clearly that this pad only.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're seeing the ball resting on the edge of the bat, even though the bat is touching the pad, you know, and the other thing is that the waves are usually slightly different
Spikes.
when bat hitting pad and when ball is hitting bat. Right? So he would have had a lot to that he can work with
Mm-hmm.
that could because think about it, you don't necessarily have to rush the decision. You know, he
Right.
can try and deduce it and guys, it was a very big decision in terms of
Good game.
was an important decision.
True. True.
It could decide, you know, the balance of the game one way or the other, based on how the game was going at the time, right?
True. And
So
it's a big player, big
exactly.
situation, big India.
Um,
You know.
yeah. But you know, if probably if it was the teams were on different ends of that same decision, you would have probably heard a
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
But
So
I'm glad. I'm glad
when it
it
goes
turned out the
against
way it
you,
did.
you tend to you're not happy about it, you know.
Mhm.
But I'm sure he would have followed the right protocols to come up with his decision based on what is available to him.
Right. So as far as moving up on the ICC panel, so and correct me if I'm wrong. So your umpires are usually assessed by their decision making during a match, also, right?
Yeah, well, the thing about it, in every game, the match referee will log everything that happens in the game. So the match referee role, as part of the match referee role, is to log every delivery, which will include, every decision that you make and everything that happens in the game. So there is always the opportunity for you to be assessed
Mhm.
in the different areas because there are quite a list of good. There's a list of different things that you will be assessed in. Like match management. Your movement on the field, different things.
Wow.
But also, decision making is also one of those. But the thing about it, decision making is what you will, in terms of the public viewing, decision making is what you will be judged on most, because that is what the public see
Hmm.
most, right?
Right.
Because nobody will ever remember how well you manage a game, but they will
Mhm.
always remember that decision that you make.
True. True.
So that is usually the one that is gonna make you or break you in terms of the public
Mhm.
viewing. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about interaction with players. Is there a certain limit of interaction that you're allowed to do with the players, especially the bowler?
In terms of
Does the ICC
on
have
the
any
field,
restrictions on that?
on the field,
Yes.
I don't know that they have a restriction. It's about I mean, for your own professional side of it, you don't want to be seen like, you're having so much to say with one player or a particular team.
Right.
While it still also is important that you have that interaction with players, that you can you know have a chat with a player. I even have a laugh, you know, because at the end of the day, you don't want to come across to the players like, you're a monster, or
Right.
you're all serious, and you don't want to engage.
Right.
So, you want to interact, but for your own self, you want to have a limit. At the
True.
end of the day, if you become too friendly with someone, you get to a point where sometimes it erodes the level of respect,
Right. And it
and
becomes
and how
personal.
they,
The emotions
yeah,
become personal, and you kind of, the decisions kind of,
exactly.
try
And
to,
then
yeah.
when you have to make a tough decision where that player is concerned, you want this, you might start thinking about this. Oh, no, this will affect our friendship,
Your personal
or
feelings in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
So
Right.
you want to keep it to a level where you can still, pull up that player and say, "Come on, you have to, yeah, more better is expected of you. You have to set better example
Right.
without them trying to figure out, oh, this man pulling me up. So you have to draw the line still, but interaction is very important
Yeah.
on
The,
where players are concerned.
the good thing is I've seen you, and you're a man of fitness, believe in fitness, and we'll get into your fitness lifestyle after. I've seen you even warming up with the guys, so that's a good look, really. Or they seeing you warming up with the guys, bowling a few in the nets and stuff like that. My question is though, what satisfies you as an umpire at the end of the day? The game is finished, you umpire the game. What's your personal satisfaction feeling like?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to, when you finish a game, you want to get to the stage where someone will say to you, right? I didn't even realize you were on the field, right? Because as an umpire, if you're getting a lot of attention on the field, it means that you're under pressure,
Right.
because you're probably not doing as well as you want to do. But
True.
when you are almost like you're invisible, where nobody even noticed that you're on the field, it means that you're doing your job well, right? So for me, is when I complete a game, you know, it's to be able to, when you have that shake on with the teams and colleagues, is to be able to shake someone hand and look in the face when you shake the hand, and they can say, good game, and that
Right.
nobody is looking at you to say,
There's
oh,
a balance
you,
in
you
in the,
cost, yeah,
yeah.
to say that you cost us that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, you want to make sure that right down to the last ball, that you are switch on and ready, because there are times when you know you're so hurry for the game to finish, so you don't switch off with 5 overs still to go,
Right.
and that 5 overs become a real action time, and you were not ready for that, right? So that is where your fitness and your focus comes in, and so on.
Right. So yesterday, big game. West Indies put up a big total, huge total. What's your take on the game yesterday? I mean, we all know it's a beautiful game of cricket when another team can come and brush off 320 something odd runs. The fans have been satisfied with a good game of cricket. But at the end of the day, it makes you reflect and say, wow, how West Indies made 300 and odd runs and lost the game. So what's your take on a game like that?
Well, I think, as you say, I think it was a good game of cricket. But if we look at both teams do have some inexperience, especially in the bowling department.
Mhm.
So once you're put under pressure and you don't have that experience, it's very easy for you to panic and start to leak runs. But I think even while England won the game, chased down the runs, I'm sure they are still not happy with giving up 328 runs, right? So I think it is a game that both teams can use to to assess themselves and go back to the analysts and look at things that they could have done better.
Mhm.
So hopefully that will you know give everyone a good game in the final match. To see both teams improving in different areas. But I think England team pretty much inexperienced. West Indies, they're also looking to build
Yeah.
a unit. So I mean, while persons might be disappointed, I think they have to also understand that that things like this will happen. But what you want to be able to see is learning taking place, and improvement comes out of things like that. Because sometimes when you do win games like that, you tend to you know brush things under the carpet that you really need to look into
Sure.
and yeah. So hopefully both teams will learn from what they didn't do so well
Mhm.
and build on what they did well, and we can see improvement all the time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of positive came out of the game as well. I was happy with the total, but I knew that it's possible England will be looking at chasing it down. Um, as an umpire, though, do you have the capacity, or do you find yourself, or have you ever been engaged in a conversation with a coach as to a particular player, like to recommend particular player to a certain boards or coach? Let's say, for example, you're in a Windward Island man. Do you Are you able to scout someone and pass on that information to a coach?
Yeah, well, I mean, as an umpire, you don't really focus too much on that. Um, at the end of the day, someone might ask you, what do you think about someone? And you might probably give an honest opinion, but it's not something that you set out to focus too much on play. I mean, probably if you're locally, because I am involved in the school system,
Mhm.
I from that level, I might do that because that is something that I am part of, right? But
Right.
at that level, I don't get involved in that kind of thing much really, because they have the persons who they expect to get those information from.
All right. Sip.
You listen to Vinci Internet Radio. We're in discussion with the newly appointed ICC umpire, Mr. Deighton Butler. Deighton, I kind of craft my questions around officiating in football. And basically, some of them was basically answered right out the block. But one thing I'll say, you were talking about interacting with players. One of the things I encourage people to do When you can interact with players, but do it professionally. Keep your hands at your side. Don't be touching, and because it sends a bad signal to the other members of the team. So you keep your hands to your side and you have a professional conversation, then you walk away. So that's another thing. But the thing is that what do you think is the best how to deal with difficult situations? Because they're always gonna pop up. As you say, when you finish a game, that if nobody can tell you you're on the field, then for me that job is well done. But how do you deal now with difficult situations?
Yeah, well, as an official, part of your role as well is conflict resolution, right? So there might be, especially where cricket is concerned, for example, a man might be really beating a bowler, another bowler, right? A batter, and he start to get agitated and you know prepare to cross that line. So for me, you have to be proactive and spot these things coming. So when you spot these things coming, you have to be ready to make sure that you can step in and take control of the situation before it escalates. Because emotions, it spoke about emotions. Once a man get emotional, he could easily lose control and do or say something that he might regret. So you have to be able to step in and control that situation as best as possible. And that it boils down to match management and player management and everything. Right? So difficult situation is gonna come up, but you and as a past player, you understand the emotions that could come from certain things. So you will be a little bit more proactive. Okay, you know that this thing could lead to the next, right?
As,
So
as,
you
I,
are prepared for it.
as I usually say, I'm stopping it right away.
Exactly.
I'll give some prime examples. You know, refereeing, especially refereeing Caribbean people and things up here, they're two different cultures. So sometimes they just ask me, how do you keep these Caribbean guys quiet? So I say, the easiest thing to keep them quiet is to stop them right away. So sometimes they just ask me, I think when I now came to Canada, I used to do a lot of Caribbean games because I figure I used to keep them quiet. But it's not that is the point. The point is when they start, I do not allow them to yap.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull two guys aside. I'm going to put one to my right, one to my left, and I'm going to stand up in the middle without saying anything. When they are finished, I say, okay, no more party talk. I'm the only person going to talk now. And what I say, just quiet them down. So as you say, you have to do it in the beginning because once you get that thing slip away from you,
Yeah.
there's no pulling it back.
Yeah. Once you lose control, it's very hard to regain it. So
Yes.
you have to be proactive and deal with it all.
Because if you do not deal with it, then you are basically as an official, you will have a mess in the hands.
Yeah. But the higher you go, you have less of that. Guys are a little bit more professional, but so you have less altercation like that and so on.
Yeah, I could adjust with that too because the higher levels you do in games, you have less people because what happens is that the coaches, especially when you have coach who understand the game, you have a better disciplined team.
Yeah.
The problem is when you have coaches who do not understand the game, you can have a disaster. So I always look for the coach who try to say things to players that is not appropriate before the game start. And then,
Yeah.
then you start pulling them like, if you do not do that, you can have some real big problems. And so in saying that now, With all these challenges, with all this technology and everything, what do you say to players who may come sometimes to question your decisions?
Yeah, well, for me, when I'm umpiring, if I make a decision, like for example, if I give a not out decision, and the bowler asks asks me why he was not out, I, and he once he is respectful about how he going about it, I don't have a problem answering, right? I mean, he could agree, I could disagree. There is nothing is wrong with that. But I always say to players, it's okay to ask a question, but you have to do it respectfully, right? Because if you're telling me that I doing foolishness and then come and ask me now, so why you didn't give that out? Then we don't have a conversation because that already going down the wrong road, you know. So if
I
you said
usually
to
tell
me,
them, I usually tell them you have to do it professionally. If you
exactly.
do it professionally, I will give you an answer. If you do not do it professionally, I just walk away.
But I know there's some umpires who don't answer when players ask them, why was wrong with that? Because I know when I used to play, I asked the umpire, say, what was wrong with that? And one time umpire said to me, say, man, go back and bowl the ball. Don't ask me nothing. I say not out.
That's
So I
that's the
actually
good thing.
smile. I say, all right. But when you do for me, when you do that, right, you're actually telling the bowler, I mean, I don't know why I didn't give it not out, but that's my decision, go and bowl the ball. But if you answer somebody, if you ask me, so what's wrong with that? And I say, well, I find the ball was doing a lot. I think he will slide past leg stump. Right? I mean, you might not agree with me, but you will, in your mind, you will say, okay, fair enough. He was doing a bit, but I still think he might have hit leg stump. But I could see why he give it not. In the bowler mind right away, he telling himself that this man know what he doing, right? Because what you said, he figured that I could see why he think that was slide. But you as a bowler, remember you a bowler boy, you are the wicket. So you might say, Bombs, I think now that clipping touch leg stump. I say, well, okay, fair enough. But I try not to, shut out people because if a player asks you why you give that not out, and you refuse to answer, and then 15 minutes down the road, something come up and you asking the player a question, you expect the player to answer you, right? So if the player decide, man, listen, don't ask me that, right? Then you're going to have a conflict, right? So simpler things could create conflict in the game down the road, right? So you want to stay professional. You don't have to agree with your reason for giving it out or not out, but at
What do you
least
think
it's okay.
is the biggest misconception about umpires?
Well, it will boil down to the fact that everyone thinks that umpiring is only about out and not out, but umpiring is far more than that. You know, umpiring involve a lot more than saying out, saying not out, or giving out. But for you know 70% of the viewers watching the game thinks that is what umpiring is all about. But there is a lot more involved in terms of your even just about your preparation alone to go into a game or a series or a tournament. You know, you can't prepare yourself just to make decisions. You have to prepare yourself for, a holistic um, umpire in terms of prepare for everything. But most people will just see decision making as, while it is very important, because if you don't have DRS, then it becomes even more important. Your decision could mean somebody's career. You know, that is how brutal it can be.
How do you mentally prepare for a game or for a season?
For me, is my physical conditioning is very important, because I believe when you're training physically, you're also mentally preparing as well. And you want to be as prepared as possible in terms of the playing condition that for the tournament that you are preparing for. Making sure that you're versed with all the rules and regulations. Because once you have that covered, you also are a lot more confident on the field, because you're in a better position to execute and make those judgments in terms of the playing condition that you're dealing with. And you also want to be really in a good mental space. You know, you don't want to be going into a tournament with too much on your shoulders in terms of unresolved conflict, and you're there, but you're still worrying about something that took place before you get there. So you want to be really switch on and totally ready for what you're going to participate in, really.
We're having a conversation with former West Indies speedster and newly appointed ICC on the ICC panel of umpires, Mr. Deighton Butler. Deighton, what would be your dream match to umpire, or your dream place to umpire a game?
Well, as an umpire, your goal is to be on the elite panel. So just like when you were playing, as a youngster, you dreamt of playing for the West Indies. You're in umpiring. Whether you get there or not, your goal must be to get onto the elite panel, being part of that 12 leading umpires in the world. Which then will open you up to being a part of whether the IPL or being part of a cricket World Cup,
World Cup final,
right? So that has to be your goal to get on that elite panel, which opens up a lot more possibilities in terms of being involved in World Cups and some of the top leagues in the world and stuff like that.
But so have you been and involved in any other T20 leagues apart from the CPL?
Yeah, earlier this year, January, February, I went to Bangladesh for the Bangladesh Premier League
Yes.
for the second half of that tournament. And it was a great experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I want to talk.
So.
I want to talk about a bit about your fitness, because I know you're very disciplined when it comes to fitness. Believe in healthy lifestyle in terms of what you eat and stuff like that. And I know you also you're involved in putting together a lot of healthy foods, pretty much. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for me, fitness is very important, and I mean, even now as an umpire, I do a lot of physical activity, and that was part of me from even from my playing days. So it was easy for me to continue that, and I must say, it has been you know really really good in terms of helping me prepare for tournaments, because sometimes you're part of different tournaments and the schedule can be quite hectic. And I know that I've been in tournaments with some some of my colleagues, who complain about tiredness and stuff like that. And I was feeling really good, and I know it's because of that level of fitness. And I think in everything that you're doing, any sport, that your physical conditioning is very important. Because as an umpire, you have to, while like T20 and thing pretty much short now. But for example, we're doing first class matches. We're doing 4 days. You have to be out there for 4 days.
Sure.
And sometimes the overs might go a bit slow, so you have to play that extra half an hour to get in the overs. So if you're not physically fit, you could imagine by the time you get to the third day and the fourth day, your legs are pretty much heavy, and you're already fatigued, and that's when errors and things can creep in, right?
Sure.
But I like to know that even when I get into the fourth day, I'm still feeling like I'm still in the first day, because I still feeling quite fresh and well. So for me, that side of it is very important. Um, my wife, she's a chef, and she into a lot of healthy food, and she do a lot of juicing and stuff like that. So I I I don't have any choice but to join that. But
It's true
it's a
confession, man.
it's a good choice not to have,
Right, right, right.
because yeah,
Can't
'cause
complain. But
he helps me as well. So.
right, but do you still offer that service to people where you sell it? I think the last time you were
Yeah,
supposed to send us some information to make the jingle for you.
yeah, man. Yeah, we still do the green juice. With the juice, we juice all the different fruits and vegetables. Help persons, detox naturally, and even some of the guys, some of the players have used it, and help them, you know, get themselves back in check and so on. And yeah, we still do it, and
Okay. So
that's the
now,
thing.
I mean, sell the product to the people now, man. Sell. There are folks listening from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and maybe later on, us overseas, we can be able to purchase them. So I mean, tell the people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who don't know how to get them and stuff like that. Like, now is your chance to sell it to them. Because everybody look at Deighton Butler, and see Deighton Butler still look like 16. So we want, everybody's trying to figure out the secret.
Yeah, yeah, man. Once they want to get that detox and get, because the thing about it, a lot of people offer detox that is not natural. But as much as possible, you want to deal with natural stuff. Fruits and vegetables, combination, juicing, and so on. So they can reach out. Um, for on WhatsApp or anything, 5320584 or 454-2453. Reach out at any one of those numbers and we can, sort them out and so on.
Danny, you're not a good salesman, but it's okay. CP and I will fix it up for you.
CP go manage that better for me.
Yeah, well, we need the info though. Since the last time you're supposed to send us the info, we need the info,
I did got busy and things. So
send me some pictures, the phone number, and what the product is about. That's over a year ago. Let's get the ball rolling.
Okay, I'll try and make sure I get them to that.
Yeah, man. So because your contribution to cricket in general in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is immense. I must stress again, man, how proud I am of you. And proud to know you like before you became involved in ICC and West Indies cricket and stuff like that. Always a humble, gentle young man, and I just hope that a lot of Vincentian youths are taking a leaf from your book, a page from your book, so that they can know they can aspire to be anything they want to be. Because you setting the trend. I know there's a couple like from the countryside. I remember Mr. Dylan Child also was a top umpire in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and you now being on the ICC panel is just something for Vincentian to be proud of, and the whole countryside in general, to a larger extent. So, I'm extending my congratulations again to you on behalf of CS World TV, and if you can tell folks how they can follow you, if you have your Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that, before I pass it back to CP.
Yeah, well, on Instagram, Facebook, once they type in Deighton Butler, they will find me there and they can follow. Yeah.
All right, man. It's been an absolute. Somebody told me to ask you that question. Who was the best captain you played under, apart from St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Windward to West Indies.
I will say probably Royal Lewis. Yeah. He was a captain who believes in his players, so he backs you to do the job,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think Rawley is an exceptional character because I think he's highly rated as a manager as well.
Yeah. He's
really highly rated. He's long-term manager and he's highly rated. So
yeah, he's a very good gentleman as well.
Yeah. Deighton, well, all the best again, and I'm sure you're gonna be on Vinci Internet Radio, CS World TV again when as time goes by, and like we say, feel free to stop by. I didn't want to, as the tournament is going on now. I mean the series is going on with West Indies and England, and you being just appointed on the ICC panel. I didn't want to put too much pressure to ask you too many personal questions about the players, but one day we'll have a cricket chat. We'll have a cricket chat online. So again, congratulations and all the best in the future. And I'll pass you over to Sid.
Yeah, thanks, my brother.
And
it's nice chatting with you again. Yeah.
Let people know that you will be involved in the game sometime this week. So let's say congratulations. That's Mr. Deighton Butler, now appointed ICC umpire. Deighton, before you go, let me tell you again, send me the information.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Send me some pictures. And because I don't think you know who I am, because although you don't get personally to me, but I was a good friend of the late Peter Campbell. We always used to be gathering in group and you used to be there. So don't expect I don't have an insight of who you are.
Yeah, man. Peter is a play for Linkers, don't you?
Yes. You remember I was Linker was my team.
A good left foot. Peter
Yeah.
had a good left out there.
And I played with him also in Sand Hill.
Yeah,
When I used to play at Sand Hill,
right, right.
Linkers was my team.
Yeah, I know Linkers was your team. That's why I say you played for Linkers.
Yeah. So in parting, man, anything you want to say to the people, anything you want to think, anything that we didn't discuss that you want to get off your mind, anything that inspire other people, the floor is yours.
I just want to say, to anyone who's listening out there is to always believe in yourself. Whatever it is that you are going after, you can't go half-hearted. You have to believe in your ability, and while you believe in your ability, you have to prepare yourself for that journey that you're going to take. Just believe that you can make it. There's always going to be someone over your shoulder that might tell you that you can't achieve that, right? But let that be a motivation to prove that person wrong. So that should be something that should even inspire you more to achieve what you are setting out to achieve. To encourage the youngsters to take part in sports, and know that even now more than before, there's greater opportunities available. For with cricket and football and basically all the different sports are concerned. But from a cricketing standpoint, there are more opportunities now than in our time when we were playing. In our time we hope to play for West Indies that we can probably make money from cricket. But now you can make a good living off cricket without even playing for the West Indies. And in fact, there are guys today who have not played for West Indies and is making a very good life off of cricket, right? Because there's so much more opportunities available. So don't limit yourself. You have that talent, make the most of it and make a living off of it. And believe in yourself, as I say, and make sure you prepare yourself for that journey that you're about to take. And thanks again, guys, for inviting me. And it's always nice chatting with two great men there. And I enjoy spending the time. I mean, I realize it's almost 2 hours, and it felt like we've been here for 20 minutes.
That's why I usually say when you come at Vinci Internet Radio, do not come with an intention that you're gonna be here for 20 minutes. We go until everybody happy, and when we get all the information out, so that's why we allow listeners to hear your story, because I'm not the kind of person who like to cut things off, because I'm here to hear your story. And your story is very important to somebody who want to be maybe a cricketer, or who want to be inspired by what you have done. And if we tell you, well, okay, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the interview is over, the person who is listening really want to get something, hasn't got anything.
Yeah.
So we always go until, because you have time, we could even go till tomorrow. We have time. Yeah. It's good when you own something that you can make that time.
Yeah, that's true.
When any time is there. Also have a listener, she's out of England. She's Emily B. She should be on our program next Sunday. So hope that she's listening to know that when she come next weekend, she have a lot of time. She's singing one of those songs with Pass the Dutchie. She redone that with the original person from Musical Youths.
Okay, that's good.
I would like to thank you, man. And it's it's almost 2 hours that we are here on Vinci Internet Radio. I know your time over this is an hour ahead. So thank you, man. And I'm looking forward to see you on the field and sometime this week in the T20 versus England.
Yeah, on the 10th, I'll be making my debut.